My name is Mr Stevenson. I'm President of the European Parliament's delegation for relations with Iraq. My colleagues Tuna Kelam from the EPP group and Soren Sondergaard from the GUI group. So we represent three different political groups and have called this press conference today to discuss the worsening situation regarding Camp Ashraf in northern Iraq. Possibly, as you are aware, Antonio Guterres, the High Commissioner for Refugees in Geneva, had received 3,400 individual applications for asylum from the residents of Camp Ashraf. In meetings that I had with him in the summer, he said that he would use all his resources to conduct the individual interviews that are necessary for the registration of these people as refugees. He said, nevertheless, the very fact that they had applied for asylum made them people of concern in the eyes of the UN and gave them a certain element of protection. I was told yesterday by my UN source in Iraq that the Prime Minister of Iraq, Nouri al-Maliki, has announced this week that he refuses to cooperate with UNHCR. Now, nothing could make it clearer to me that these obstacles are being put in place by the Prime Minister of Iraq himself because of pressure coming from Tehran, and Tehran want the 3,400 PMOI people inside Camp Ashraf to be annihilated. We need the UN Security Council and the Americans to provide protection for the people in Ashraf and not to keep repeating to me every time I speak to anyone in authority, but the Iraqi government are promising these people will be treated under international law in a humanitarian way. We've seen the humanitarian way they were treated twice before. So I am repeating this warning. Give them protection. For heaven's sake, wake up to the danger. Please, Baroness Ashton, make a public statement saying to Nouri al-Maliki that this is unacceptable. Furthermore, we were told in a statement, a press statement that appeared in the Fars press agency, which is affiliated in Iran to the Ministry of Intelligence, we see a press report that a three-party committee has been set up between Iran, Iraq, and the International Committee for the Red Cross. Now, they always state that the Red Cross are involved. The Red Cross have issued press releases denying their involvement. And this news release this week claims that this three-party meeting was held, but unfortunately the Red Cross didn't attend to try to give some spin to it. And they have prepared a 7-point plan now for the removal of the people from Ashraf by the end of this year. And they're planning how to announce this through the media to the general public. So this, again, absolutely exposes that Tehran is pulling the strings in Baghdad and telling Nouri al-Maliki what he must do. So I thought it was essential to hold a press conference today to get this very concerning information out to the general public, and I hope that the press will start taking notice.
I join my colleague, Mr Stevenson. We represent a cross-party group. I think you may know that the legal case is absolutely clear. It has been settled by several decisions by the European Court in Luxembourg. Their status, international status, is clear. And what is very important to stress is that how these people will be treated by the Iraqi government. This should be considered a test case for the legitimacy, democratic nature, and rule of law system established in Iraq. I think Baroness Ashton has to make a statement on this, stressing that these issues should be linked. Developing economic relations with Iraqi government and safeguarding these people who are under international protection, actually. I call upon all 27 governments of the European Union to act, not just to observe appeals, but to put pressure upon Iraqi government, because without linking economic and political relations and the fate of Ashraf inhabitants, there will be not much use of their good intentions. There's still some time, but we have to come forward united with all the authority of the European Union. There's no lessons taken from the Arab Spring. We have been ashamed that we entertained such relations with dictatorial regimes.
Thank you very much. Soren.
Yes, just to briefly inform you that yesterday we issued a statement which called for the cancellation of the deadline which have been set by the Iraqi government to the closure of Camp Ashraf. And we call on of course, Baroness Ashton, the EU and the member states to denounce this deadline. And also we call on the United Nations to put a permanent representation inside the camp in order to give protection for the inhabitant there. And since yesterday, we announced it yesterday, we put forward that declaration yesterday, and since yesterday more than 120 MEPs from all the political groups in the parliament have signed. So this is really an indication that there is an awareness about this. This is not a party politic matter. It is a truly humanitarian question which have the support from a cross-party segment of the parliament and from a very broad cross-party segment. So of course we will continue to collect the backing of this and we hope that will also make an impression. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Meanwhile, the siege of Ashraf continues uninterrupted. We have still 300 loudspeakers erected around the perimeter fence, blaring at high decibels threats and propaganda 24 hours a day. We've had the ban on adequate supplies of medicines and of access to proper medical facilities for people wounded during the massacre on the 8th of April, and for the seriously ill, some of whom have died as a direct result. We've had no gasoline allowed entry to the camp since February this year, and then this week we have had the ban on kerosene entering the camp as we move towards the cold weather, and kerosene is the essential fuel for heating in the camp. So there is an intensive siege continuing, but every time there is any contact at diplomatic level, they're told we are dealing in a humanitarian way under international law with all the people in Ashraf, which is a downright lie, and it is an absolute disgrace that we sit back and allow Iraq to get away with that. And as Tuna said, not only allow Iran to interfere in this matter, but even send a delegation over to talk to the mullahs in Tehran. It's tantamount to having sent a delegation to Berlin to visit Hitler in 1939. It's absolutely scandalous and a disgrace on this House. Any questions? Up the back.
Ray Colgan from RTE Irish TV. You said earlier that you felt we were sleepwalking towards another Srebrenica. Now, if that's apparent to you, it's equally apparent to Catherine Ashton and the Americans. Why then is it not a priority for them?
I think there's several reasons for this. Partly, the Americans want to walk away from the disaster that has been left in Baghdad. I was there myself in April, just after the massacre. The country has 6 hours electricity a day, limited access to fresh water. The economy is pretty well broken. It's listed internationally as the second most corrupt country in the world after Somalia. And the Americans are trying to tell everybody that it is a shining example of democracy, that the Arab Spring rose up in sympathy, trying to mirror what has happened in Iraq. Well, God help all the other countries in the Middle East if they try and mirror what has happened in Iraq. It is a basket case. The only part of Iraq that has a 10% growth in the economy is Kurdistan, where they have sealed the border effectively with 130,000 Peshmerga to stop the incursion of any bombers or terrorists. So the rest of Iraq is an absolute basket case. Security is non-existent. And you know, many people, even in the Iraqi parliament, said to me it was better under Saddam. At least we had no freedom, but we had security, we had jobs, we had electricity, and we had clean water. Unemployment now is at massive levels. So the Americans would like to walk away from all this, and they have announced they will do so at the end of this year, pretending that they have left behind a new functioning democracy and a great example to the rest of the world. It is rubbish, and it's something that we should expose.
But allow me to add that we have also seen some positive signs. I mean, it is a very positive sign that Baroness Ashton has appointed a special envoy for the area, and that is positive. But we have to say, with the threat confronting us, we have to do even more. That's a problem, and therefore we also in this statement called for more urgent action from all the authorities, including Baroness Ashton.
Yeah, I would endorse that. Jean de Ruyter's appointment is absolutely essential, and a very good indication of how seriously the High Commissioner for Foreign Affairs takes this, the High Representative, sorry, takes the Ashraf issue. Also, the involvement of the High Commissioner for Refugees, Antonio Guterres, is an absolute key element to all of this. But, you know, the minute we tried to resolve the crisis, we then get the obstacles put in our place by the Iraqi government. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you all very much for your attendance, and I hope that this can expose what is happening in Iraq and that we can see some rapid action at international level, both in New York and in Brussels. Thank you.